The Army Painter is my favorite hobby company in the entire world. My desk is literally full of Army Painter products, and it takes me from being an average painter to putting above tabletop standard models out into the tournament scene. Not only that, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive play than any other hobby company in the industry. They allow us to keep doing the things that we do. If you enjoy the Army Painter as much as I do, head over to thearmypainter.com where you can use the discount code ARTWAR5 to get a discount on your next order.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another super exciting Tier List Tuesday.
Oh, my favorite day of the week is tier lists. It's Tuesday because of the tier lists.
Yeah, it is, Q. Yeah, it is. Tier List Tuesday with Q, Money, and Nick. That's what we're here to do. We're going to rank all the Sisters of Battle data sheets today.
Yes, this is an army that you just took to WTC, did very well at, and then I've been taking to a couple of local tournaments.
That's right.
Where we live, yeah.
That's right.
Also done pretty well.
Quinton's been flexing his ladies on us.
I know, near and dear to both of our hearts, and I think they have a lot of really strong data sheets here, and I'm excited to see where they end up.
Yeah, me too. So we're doing that classical S through A, B, C, D rankings. We haven't gotten creative enough for cool names yet, but we're working on that. And basically, we're going to take this from the lens of a competitive-minded player. So we're going to rank these purely based on how viable they are on the table in their best attachment, or at least with respect to their best attachment. But maybe we'll factor in if a unit is only good in like one detachment or something.
Yeah, there are a couple units here that are like auto includes in one particular detachment, but are really not that great in other ones, and that's something we'll weigh when we kind of rank them.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're new here, we do competitively focused Warhammer 40k content. We're all focused on helping you learn the game and becoming your best. We do tactics videos, tier lists, list strategy discussions, and battle reports. So you can like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and ring that notification bell so you get notified every time we go live.
Yeah, it's really important. It really helps the channel.
All right, so let's get right on into it, Q.
I'm very excited
to talk about this.
Starting off with the Arco-flagellants. So one of the most important units of the index took some nerfs in the Codex, but still kind of kicking. What does this unit do, Nick?
This unit is a shell of its former self. Basically, it's still a 2-wound combat melee type unit. It doesn't really have an armor save, but it's got Feel on Pain 5+, 2 wounds. It's kind of annoying. It's got a lot of attacks with no AP. There are ways in various detachments where you can buff the AP up. You can add bonuses to wound depending on your detachment. In Penitent Host, this unit really shines because that's where you can buff the Penitent units. And of course, this is one Penitent one. In other detachments like Hallowed Martyrs, it still has a lot of value. And the other use it has, alternatively to its like full version 10-man package trying to hit stuff, is you can just take 3 of them for 45 points and use them as like a little small squad to do small squad things.
Yeah, one thing that this really have is that having small units to go and die is actually quite valuable, just because they get you miracle dice when they die. So yeah, you like that.
So I feel like this unit kind of isn't that great. In Penitent Host, you will take some of Arco-flagellants just because that's what your detachment's telling you to do. But like in a vacuum, this unit's not particularly that strong. It's like pretty mid. It's okay. Even as a 45-point unit or as a large unit, like in both of those roles, it's pretty mid.
I firmly agree. I think the largest issue with the 45-point Arco-flagellant unit is I would really rather spend the points to get like a Dominion squad in an Immolator, because it also comes with a like 5-girl nonsense unit squad that fulfills a lot of the same roles for like about the same cost if you kind of cut this unit cost in half.
Yeah, the only thing with the Dominions, and we'll get to them as we do, is that they're like a big package, so you don't get to buy chunks of it.
That's fair.
But as a 45-point unit, you also can compare it to a Dialogist who's 30 points. It is a character, so it gives up Assassinate, but like whatever, it's 30 points for a model. It's
that good. Exists, yeah. I don't hate them. I don't love them. I think they're very okay.
I think we're tossing them in B tier.
Yeah.
Solid baseline for B tier.
I agree.
Arco's over here.
Might even probably mid-bottom B tier, but yeah, they're fine. They're okay.
So the next unit, well, we already started talking about it, but we're going to keep talking about it because they are pretty fire.
Dominions, one of my absolute favorite units in this codex. And you kind of hit the nail on the head here, and you said this unit is a package, right? You can't look at what its face value do. It's basically 3 kind of elements all working in concert here.
Well, we're going to talk about the Dominion and the Immolator just because it is the Dominion package here. But Quentin, why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, so so the Dominion is a unit. It's 10 Battle Sisters. And then 5 of them have special weapons. There's 4 Meltagons typically, and then a sergeant with like a power sword and some special weapon there. And then there's going to be 5 girls with bolters, and one of them is going to have a Simulacrum Imperialis. And almost always, you're going to put this unit inside of an Immolator, which allows it to be split into 2 units. So what you're basically getting is you're getting 1 squad of 5 Battle Sisters with Melty Guns and 1 squad of 5 Battle Sisters with just Bolters, who can sometimes generate Miracle Dice if they're on objectives. And this unit natively comes with Scout. It gives the Scouts to transports and attached characters. It gets a reactive move, which is very strong because you can use it to get back inside of a transport, which is really good. And then it's 4 Melta Guns with access to Miracle Dice. They can be super strong. And a Bringers of Flame, these guys really like A, being in transports, and B, being able to like advance out of transports and shoot you. So,
yeah, they do a lot. It's 3 elements, 2 halves to each Dominion squad and the Immolator that you split them up with. And the Immolator scouts, the other 5 Dominion scouts, you get like a little small squad to do small squad things, action, screen, just be that cheap thing that you need. And then you get like a nice power unit. And the fact that it's all got reactive moves, especially as you get better and better at using these tactics, can really create complicated situations for your opponent to try to have to solve.
Yeah, they're not that expensive. Their damage is pretty decent and pretty reliable. As a big shout out here to Bringers of Flame, which I think is for the strongest. I think they're kind of unit you would take in every Sister Detachment.
Yeah.
But I think in Bringers of Flame they're the best, especially since those Melted Guns are like going into strength 10, which is a really big break point because it means they wound a lot of vehicles on 3s or 4s instead of 4s or 5s.
I like this unit as like the baseline to Sisters armies, kind of like the foundation. You can sub Dominions for Battle Sisters, and we'll talk about that because they're both 115 point units, which you split with an Immolator. They do different things. But these things scout, they get more special weapons, they have reactive moves. It's just everything you want from a unit, and then also all these extra rules tacked on.
Yeah, I think they're the kind of thing where like if they had one less of the many rules they do, I would still really like them. But they have so many rules they just kind of get pushed over the top.
So this is not like the most powerful unit in the army or anything.
No.
But I think it's like a good core baseline, like what you're making your list out of. Because you get 3 squads for 230 points, squad, Immolator.
Yeah.
You get a variety of weapons. You get a lot of utility. I start my list with at least 2 of these packages, like pretty much universally.
I firmly agree. I genuinely really struggle to write a Sisters list that does not include at least 2 squads of Dominions and Immolators.
Are we thinking S tier for awesome?
I think these guys are S tier.
Super duper awesome.
I
feel like A would be awesome, but they're super.
They're super. They're super awesome.
Super awesome.
Okay.
Battle Sisters next.
Yes. So Battle Sisters are kind of similar to the Dominions. You don't get the Scout. You don't get the reactive move. You do get OC2, and I believe they sticky objectives now.
They do.
Sticky objectives.
They do.
And then instead of 4 Melta Guns, you get 1 Melta Gun and then 1 like multi-Melta is basically what you're going to be taking.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't shoot as hard. You don't have a reactive move, but you're a little bit better at like objective control and things like that.
You're also battle line, and this is your only source of battle line, save for like Void's Men at Arms and things like that in the Imperial Agents. It's definitely your only good battle line,
Yeah.
And that matters in some matchups. Like against Hypercrypt, not having battle line is legitimately a liability.
Yeah, so like Grey Knights, things like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And sticking objectives also helps some matchups. But they're 115 points, Dominion's 115 points. You basically are battle line in OC2. In exchange, you're giving up a few special weapons, a reactive move, and scout. And that's a lot of things to give up.
It is. So I have really gone back and forth as to whether or not I like 3 squads of Dominion Immolators. I think there's a very real like choice as to whether or not you want 2 squads of Dominions and then 1 squad of Battle Sisters.
I think so
right?
as well.
You shoot technically a little less hard, but it's 3 Melta shots instead of 4 Melta shots. So it's not like a crazy trade-off there.
Yeah. You lose a little mobility. You don't have scout on all 3 vehicles and an extra squad, but 1 squad's going to camp your backfield. Might as well make it sticky in OC2. And then 1 Immolator often doesn't even make use of that scout move, really. You can just kind of like logistics of ruins and playing the game. So you can use it like that too.
No, I agree. I want 2 of them to go forward. 1 just kind of like hovers in place. It goes where it goes with its normal move.
At the same time, I think there's alternative uses for Battle Sisters. We're only comparing them to Dominions. You can make a larger unit of Battle Sisters, especially in armies like Army of Faith, where you attach like Aestred Thurga and a Dialogist, and you get a really powerful combination of like spewing mortal wounds at people with the multi-melta.
The Imagifier is also pretty. You can make a squad that's kind of durable.
Yeah, the Imagifier makes them kind of durable. You can do Palatine Dialogist as a common combination as well, because you can basically do 2 auto wounds to anything you want with a multi-melta. So there's a lot of utility to the Battle Sister squad. I don't think you're spamming these out, but I do think there's nothing wrong with taking one. It's a solid choice.
I think it's the kind of thing that I think Sisters are probably a little bit too strong right now.
Say it quick. This is the sisters tier list. There's none of that. Get that out of here. Heretics.
Heretics. But I think Battle Sisters are really the kind of unit you might look at maybe in a couple months if we do see some kind of MFM update.
I think they're a solid A tier choice.
I completely
they're better
agree.
than Arco-flagellants. Yeah. They're not as auto take as Dominions. It's a flavor choice. It's a personal preference choice, but they're a solid unit.
No, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with Battle Sisters. I wouldn't change a thing about the data sheet.
Yeah. I wish they were a little cheaper, but you know me, sisters aren't good enough. Depends who you ask.
It depends on who you ask. Yeah. Okay. Up next is Sacresants.
Sacresants are such an interesting data sheet. They're like, what if sisters were trying to be durable? They have a 4+ vulnerable save baked in. If you add an Imagifier, they get to a 2-up armor save. They have decent combat.
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
I keep looking at them and being like, what if? They're not that expensive. I think it's $150 for 10.
So I've tried them a couple ways. I've tried them as a solid 30 Sacresants in Army of Faith, where you add Hospitaliers to all of them, and then you basically get access to Feel No Pain, access to healing. You're super durable. It's not really worth it, is what I found. And then I tried like just a 10-man with very little to no support, and that's not bad. That's like a solid unit to like take a hit, still be there. Something sisters don't really have.
No, I like the fact that like it requires real effort, whichever way you splice it, right? And then if you have a couple left, you're still good. They're also like a decent like first thing to go out because you can't kill them with like Stormbolters from Rhino. They require like some real activations, and real activations will kill them. They're not like that durable, but it requires something real to shoot them.
Right. At the same time, if I'm looking for sisters to be durable, I'm probably taking the vehicles, not the infantry, because you're still toughness 3 1-wound bodies, and that's only going to get you so far.
Yeah, I think the issue is that the Sacresants don't really. There's nothing I like. There's nothing I dislike about them, but there's nothing they do that I need. Right.
Yeah. They do their job well, but it's not a job you care about.
That's exactly how I feel. They do their job perfectly fine. I just don't care about that job.
Yeah. I think they are a decent unit that has like a lack of purpose in the sisters context. So I'll put them B tier.
Yeah, I think B tier. I think top of B tier.
Yeah, better than Arcos.
Do we want to do super chats now or at the end?
Let's start tackling them now, and then if we get like a big blast, we'll just hit them at the end.
Okay. So Ryan G with a $10 super chat says, speaking of Meltas, I've noticed Blight Haulers seeing a fair amount of play now. Do you see them becoming a stable pick for Death Guard at 90 points? They're basically a Rhino with a 5+ invuln save for 90 points. So I don't. And here's why. So as the Death Guard player here in the house, I have found that Blight Haulers are very inconsistent. I have found one multi-melta and one missile launcher, and then some like nonsense shooting and fighting I don't care about is not worth 90 points just because you still have to hit and you still have to wound. And you have +1 to wound, which is really nice. What that typically means you're wounding on like 4s. So like you rock this thing up and then you like maybe sometimes wound a Rhino. You basically never. And I think they complete very poorly with the footed blow drone who has fly and the flamers, which I value much higher. So I don't like love the Blight Hauler. I think there are much better options for 90 points, and I think having the fly is more important. And in the same role, I'd really just rather have the Blight Hauler or the blow drone than the Blight Hauler.
Nice. Thank you, Ryan G, for your super chat. And for those of you watching, if you ever want your questions answered, please just toss us a super chat and we'll make sure we answer them. And also subscribe to the channel. All right, what's next, Quinton?
Okay, up next is the Novitiates.
Novitiates. All right, so this is a unit that changed quite a lot from the index. They became an infiltrating squad, which is something I have desperately wanted in Sisters. They also give you reroll hits and melee on objectives, which kind of sort of synergizes with the Palatine, who has lethal hits, so you can like make a Palatine hit pretty hard in this like otherwise small, insignificant unit.
Yeah.
This is just like an infiltrating blocking squad, though. That's what they're here for.
Yeah, they're not that hard to kill. They don't hit that hard. They're just kind of annoying.
It's not cheap.
No.
It's 100 points, but it's also the only way to get infiltrators in this army outside like adding an assassin, which is not an infiltrating screen. It's one model.
No.
Like, this is stop a Votan army from coming at me, stop a World Leader's army from coming at me, or more importantly, I find, rather than defensively using it there, proactively using it to stop yourself from getting move blocked real hard.
So what are your thoughts on Novitiates? I haven't currently run them, but I think you have run them sometimes.
I think they are an insurance policy.
Yeah.
You don't need them to win your games. They are not going to help you win them harder. They are good at stopping you from exploring a lost condition to like going second, getting move blocked super hard by infiltrators. Like if you're running a lot of tanks, which Bringers of Flame often do, and a lot of versions of Sisters do, and you go second versus Eldar, and they deployed 5 Rangers online and just ran straight at you, and you don't get a movement phase on turn 1, and they set up doing it over and over again while they're shooting you with fire and fading haywire, that can just turn a really free matchup into a loss.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to get around that. But like that's such a niche problem to experience.
Yeah. I also don't know if because there's also a very real shot that like the Rangers just roll higher than you, or the elder player rolls higher than you, and they get to deploy the Infiltrators first, and then the Novitiates aren't doing that job.
It's not a great insurance policy.
No.
You gotta like argue with the guy you're trying to make the claim on to like cash this in. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not like. I think
I see their purpose in singles. I wouldn't take them in teams.
I think they're another unit like the Sacresants where I think they're fine. There's nothing I dislike about them. And I see the job they're trying to do, and they do that job well. I just don't think their job is worth the points.
Yeah, and I think that's a personal choice, but put them in B tier. I agree with that.
I think they're kind of unit. If I was building a 2,500 point list, I might include one, but probably not a 2,000.
Mm-hmm. So then we've got an Imagifier, an interesting character, which does two different things.
Yes.
One, she helps you cycle miracle dice because she lets you re-roll them every time a unit within 12 inches of her dies. If you rolled like a 1 or 2, you just like, I don't like that, I want to re-roll it. And you can join her to a unit, and she gives them a 2+ armor save and a 4+ invulnerable save.
Yeah, I mean, it really does make a unit much, much more durable. Notably, they are only toughness 3/1 wound bodies, so mortal wounds are still very efficient at killing them.
Yeah.
And she's like not inexpensive, right? She's like 60 points.
She's 65.
Yeah.
I really like her specifically in Hallowed Martyrs because they have a great relic to give her where you can also re-roll dice at the start of your command phase. So you can just get like a re-roll dice factory out of this girl. And that's a detachment which rewards you for like damaging, not finishing squads. So she makes a squad durable to the point where it like lives attacks.
Yeah, and then
you know, get +1 to hit, +1 to wound. That also turns her relic that I'm talking about into a better version of itself. Mm-hmm. So there's some synergy there, but it's pretty niche.
Yeah, I agree. I think if she was like 30 or 40 points, I might really like her. But I think
she used to be 35.
I know. But the problem is at 65, it's the point where we're starting to approach, well, I could just get another real unit rather than her.
It's also like, let's look at what we're doing with it. You take a 115-point Battle Sister squad that's like cheap for 10 bodies. You got a 65-point model, and we're at 180 points. We're no longer cheap for 10 bodies. And this is Imagifiers, the kind of character that can join with a Palatine or Canoness also. So let's also join something good so this unit does more. Now it's a 215-point squad. Let's take some relics. Now it's a 250-point squad. You saw nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I really agree there. I think the issue is that she is too expensive for what she's buffing. Because the value of Dominions or Battle Sisters or whatever we're going to put her with is the fact they really just don't cost that many points, right? And I think she kind of disrupts that. She makes that squad cost a lot of points.
Yeah. It's pretty mid. I don't know. I feel like we're putting everything in B tier, but it's like Arco-flagellants to me. Like there's a lot of things in Sisters which are fine, but not great.
Yeah, she's very fine, but not great.
Yeah, which I guess speaks to good internal balance. Like you want a lot of things that are fine.
I actually think this book is fairly well internally balanced. There's a lot of really good options here.
Yeah, I agree too. So let's toss this in B tier, and if we end up retroactively breaking up B tier a little bit more later down the line,
maybe move some of the lower options down to C tier.
Yeah. So we've got the Daemonifuge. This is one of my favorites. It's like a pet favorite for mine.
Yeah. So technically, there's two models here. There's the Daemonifuge. It's Ethereal Stern and Kaiganil.
Yeah. I'm glad you knew that. Mm-hmm. You're really up on your sister's knowledge these days.
No, I really am.
Look at that. So these are two really cool characters. Unfortunately, it's two characters, so double the fun for Assassinate. Yes. 8 points.
Which doesn't matter as much as it used to.
No, people aren't really taking Fix. It's not a good meta for Fix, so like it's kind of whatever. And then it does some janky stuff. It always fights first pair of characters with a few Strain 6 AP 2/2 damage attacks. And it's got always strikes first at heroic interventions for free. And additionally, so you can do it multiple times with this unit because it calls it out specifically.
Yeah. And then there's like a weird, like, pick a unit and it takes some mortals. And if it's chaos, it takes slightly more mortals.
Yeah, it's really good at killing chaos things. So in a chaos meta, I would take her more seriously. It's anti-chaos 2+ on all its melee attacks. And it does flat 3 mortals at -1 battle shock if you fail a battle shock. It's weird. I like her in Hallowed Martyrs specifically, because Hallowed Martyrs has heroic sacrifice.
Yes.
So you can free strat heroic intervention or like rapid ingress her, then heroic her because you deep strikes as well. And then, your unit that has to would try to charge me and kill my important thing. Now it's going to fight this Daemonifuge package, which it's 80 points or something. So it's
I think she's like 75.
75. Yeah, it's in that neighborhood. It's aggressively okay. I don't know.
Yeah, she's fine. She's a lone op with deep strike.
She's a lone op, like an 80-point lone. She does a lot of things that are good.
Yeah, I guess my issue is that like she kind of gets there, and then you're like, okay, well now what?
Yeah,
she doesn't hit that hard. She's not that durable.
Like you're not heroic interventioning her with fights first to be like, aha, you're dead. Like she'll kill like a space marine.
But like if you get lucky, she might kill 2 or 3. But like if she kills 1 space marine, that's like totally within the realm of like reasonable possibility.
She's 85. She's 85. Oh man, honestly, if we're in the spirit of breaking up, everything goes in B tier. Let's toss this girl in C tier.
I don't love her.
She's not great.
Yeah, she's not great.
She's not great.
Yeah,
I do love her though. She's so cool.
She's very cool. The model's very cool.
We got the Dogmata next. You know what a Dogmata does?
I actually don't.
Oh my god!
I read her data sheet. I remember not liking her.
Everyone's read the data sheet. Yeah. Everyone's not liking her, but I'll tell you what she does.
What does the Dogmata do?
She doesn't do anything. She joins a unit and she gives it +1 OC.
Yes.
So you can like make 30 OC sister squads or join it to a 5-man thing, 5-girl thing, and then it's OC 2 each. She also, this is the fun part, Quinn.
Yes.
She can make you take a battle shock within 6 inches at -1 leadership.
It's not that exciting.
It's not exciting.
It's not that exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Sisters have an excess amount of like
nonsense.
30 to 50 point nonsense characters.
Yes.
Like much like Death Guard.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's a lot. Yeah.
You can't just take them all because they all technically make your squads better. No, you have to pick and choose. Otherwise, your army is 85 characters and no substance.
Yes.
And she literally never makes the cut.
I remember reading her and being like, that is so underwhelming, and then moving on.
You know, Jeffrey Kolodner, great Sisters player, he came on the Art of War podcast. We built a Sisters list together right when the Sisters book dropped, and he unironically put one into his list. And I just can't get behind it. I
really don't like this character. I think she's also in C tier.
I think D for Dogmata tier.
I get behind that, actually. I think especially relative to Sisters.
Like, if we're going to put a D tier model in this tier list, it's her.
She's there. I think she's probably the worst unit in the book by a margin.
If she dropped to the cheapest character at 25 points, she would have a purpose because she's a model.
But she's more expensive than Dialogus.
Yeah. Speaking of more characters, we're going to be here for a minute, folks. We've got the Canoness next.
Canoness.
So she does a lot.
Yes.
She has a lot of different war gear kits you can give her. Unfortunately, they're all weirdly specific, and you can never take all the good combo pieces together.
Yeah. This is one of the big suffering from the box. Multiple box kits, right? Yeah.
But she basically can join your unit and give it reroll once to hit, and then she can have a decent gun herself. She can be good at combat instead, where she's got 4 strength 6 AP 2 damage attacks, and you can obviously enhance that with any relics. She's 50 points, and she once per game has a 2-up invul. So then in certain detachments you can also do a weird durable Canoness. Once per game per phase, she was pretty durable as well.
Hollowed Martyrs can make her always damage 1 or something like that.
I've used her in Hollowed Martyrs to tie up Angron and stuff. It's glorious. She is a very utilitarian piece, and you kind of take her with specific purpose in your list, and there's nothing wrong with taking her. It's totally fine. You don't spam her out.
Yeah, no, I think she's fine.
I think she's another B tier character. I think she's better than most of the B tier characters.
Yeah.
I think she's the higher end of B tier, but she's still B tier character conglomeration.
Mm-hmm. No, she's fine. I don't know. She's definitely better than Dogmata.
She's not in D tier. This is D tier for Dogmata. Okay. So we got Repentia.
So I think this is kind of the big unit that depending on the detachment is wildly different. Because they're not terrible in Penitent Host, but they're not good, I would say, in other detachments.
They're overcosted.
They're very overcosted
beyond belief. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're 180 for a full pack of them, and they have no defense, actual 0 defense.
They're 1 wound, toughness 3, 6-up invuln.
2 attack models, strength 6, AP 2 damage. You can add a character, which helps, but ultimately,
only in Penitent Host, right?
I'm sorry. You can't add a priest. No, you're right.
No, the priest can't. You can't.
Yeah. So they're really mid tier bad. They're not a good unit.
Good.
They're not a good unit.
Yeah.
In most situations. No. In Penitent Host, you can buff them through the gills. They're also how your army works, because of course they can get your battle round rule for either +3 move, which stacks with a million other ways to add move and advance and charge. They can get +1 strength and attack, which really helps them go up to that 3 attack I actually kill stuff range. And they can get fight on death 2+, which really helps in certain matchups.
Penitent also lets them join the Canoness to the unit, and then the unit gets in with the strat. You can get like sustained lethal 5s for rolls to hit and wound, and then you really start to kill things.
Yeah.
It becomes very expensive though. The package is like $270 and dies to like any Overwatch.
Yeah. Usually you do the Palatine join to the Repentia.
Sorry, the Palatine, my bad.
Yeah, same idea.
Yeah.
In that army, I still don't love them. And I recognize fully that you will take them because you are playing Penitent Host, and that is the point.
Yeah.
But I've experimented a lot with Penitent Host, and I've really found that it's a little bit of a contradictory style to Sisters. Sisters like to not play the game in like the first turn. They like to slow it down, play like the third turn, and just like sweep the back half. They want to accrue a bunch of miracle dice and kind of stage and then kill.
100%.
And this army, the Penitent Host, requires you to expend your detachment rules in the first 3 battle rounds and telegraph it to your opponent like a lot.
Yeah, because you declare them at the start of the battle round, right?
Yeah, and you have to use them in the first 3. You can't choose to pass.
Yeah.
So you're in this predicament where you're contradicting your army's playstyle, and ultimately this unit just isn't worth doing that for. It's just a combat unit.
I don't think it's that good even in Penitent Host.
Yeah, I mean, you're running them in Penitent Host, but it's not that good.
So I think Repentia strike me a lot like Incubi or Witches, in that they're a very fragile, pretty hard-hitting combat piece, and with like 1 wound. And the biggest issue I found with those guys is just that they die to like literally any Overwatch. So your opponent will Overwatch you with like 4 Stormbolters and 1 Incinerator. And it's like a credible threat to killing your whole unit.
Yeah.
Or crippling it beyond belief, right?
Right.
I don't love them.
I don't love them either. I'd put them in C tier normally, but I think with respect to Penitent Host, they become like an A tier unit in that detachment. But I don't know. Where do you want to toss them? It's a weird thing.
I think you put them in like the very bottom of B tier, just for the understanding that like they're pretty decent in Penitent Host, and they're not great in everything
like kind
else.
of split the difference. With it. Yeah, I like that. Okay, Mr. Priest. So he is actually a man, and he can join a lot of things in this attachment to make him better.
Yes.
He can join Arco-flagellants, give them, I believe it's +1 to wound these days.
That's what he does. It's
Yeah,
+1 to
okay.
wound, yeah.
And then he can also give you access to relics.
He also, you can like stack relics on him so that he actually hits like hilariously hard.
He is himself a beatstick.
You can get him to like, it's like 9 attacks at like strength 11 or something crazy.
My real issue with him is that Arco-flagellants are not the type of unit that wants to have a character attached, but they kind of need him attached.
Yeah.
Because then they make it becomes a 200+ point unit. And it's like, God, no defense. It doesn't do 200 points of damage.
The 5-up invuln squad can be like kind of durable if you like also spend the 4 Pure Pain. Yeah,
that's all Penitent Host specific as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in Penitent Host, you're certainly taking them. You're probably taking multiple. In other detachments, I think you might take 1 if you're taking Arco-flagellants, and that's like a package you're creating. Some detachments can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's an auto-include in Penitent Host, and he's like a B-tier character otherwise.
I fully agree there. I think he's okay. I might even put him in C tier in non-Penitent Host. But yeah, probably B tier.
All right, let's toss him in B tier.
Probably, yeah.
Kind of like buy the Arco-flagellants.
We might need to like, I think probably at the end we're going to want to reevaluate B tier.
Yeah, I mean, we will. We will scope through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Including Quinton's hair.
Okay.
Byzantine Byron with a £5 super chat. Hey guys, love the content. A Custodes question. If I didn't want to paint more white armor, how useful would it be to splash a Knight Castellan?
I think if you're going to be splashing in a Knight, you're probably better off taking Canis Rex. I think he's the best Knights by like a lot, by a large margin.
Yeah.
I don't love the Castellan right now, especially without the real hit and wound. I think because he's like random number of shots into hitting on 3s and doing invuln a lot of the time, he's just so dang swingy for like a full quarter of your army. So I would invest in Canis Rex over the Castellan. I think the Castellan's probably not like an awesome choice. But that being said, if you really want to run one, if it's a model you own, then go ahead and try it. It will kill big things pretty well. Yeah.
So we definitely appreciate your super chat, Byzantine Byron, and definitely appreciate you not wanting to paint more white. Get a Knight in there. Absolutely.
Yes. Airbrushes are good. And then if you're painting white, try painting like a light gray, typically how I paint white, and it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a Dialogus.
Dialogus.
Okay. So Dialogis is a really interesting model. It's a 30-point character, which already has value just in the sense that it is your cheapest model with OC that can like run around, do an action, run around, hold a point. Separate to that, it can do two other things. It can join a unit, and then it can make any miracle dice you use for that squad automatically a 6. And if you're stacking that with like lethal hits, sustain hits, or the abilities that allow you to use 2 miracle dice instead of 1, that gets really silly really quickly.
It's even pretty good on its own just because you can use it for like bad dice on like a Dominion squad and then use a Cherub to get a better one back later.
Yeah, you can literally turn a 1 into a 6, re-roll the die you just used into anything that's better than a 1. And you're just making great miracle dice.
Yeah.
Additionally, you can take a unit, I believe within 12, and just say you're no longer battle shocked.
Yes.
Which is very useful because sometimes sisters are leadership 7 all the time.
And it is quite annoying.
And you don't want to have to use your 6s on battle shocks, and you also don't want to fail your battle shocks.
Yeah.
So you having like a get out of jail free card is not negligible.
Yeah, I definitely like started, like when I first built my sisters list, I was having her join to a squad of beings every time. But the more I played, a lot of times I would just have her running around alone.
I really like her join to Dominions and Army of Faith because then you can just flip 2 dice.
Yes.
And a lot of times that means hit wound guaranteed, and that's super powerful.
Or like wound damage.
Wound damage,
Yeah, wound damage, yeah. There's a lot of really good combos there.
Yeah.
I actually think she's quite good. I think also being 30 points for a unit with OC is very valuable.
Yeah. She also, not that sisters are super interested in charging, but she can make your charges ludicrously far, like guaranteed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's a great character. I mean, like, honestly, she isn't in my list, and that's more of a points thing rather than I don't like her. I actually think I want to cut a Penitent engine to put 2 of her in just to have options.
2 things, yeah.
Are we thinking A tier here?
I think A tier. I think A tier, yeah.
She's a queen. She's a queen in the making. Maybe a princess.
Maybe a princess.
That's what a queen in the making is.
No, you're like so right.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. No. Okay. But you know who's actually currently a queen?
The Morvenn Vahl.
Morvenn Vahl.
She might be the queen. Quinn, take it away.
Okay. So what does she give you? Well, she gives her unit, which is Paragons, reroll hits and wounds all the time. That's pretty good.
Let me just harp real quick.
Yes.
Solo Vahl is a thing. It's not that great. This is Vahl joined to Paragons.
Vahl joined to Paragons. Yeah. Solo Vahl is okay in the Hallowed Martyrs. She can come back to life.
Yeah.
But then she has like a souped up heavy bolter with real hits and wounds is pretty good. And then she has a 2-shot missile launcher, and you can spend a miracle die, and she like gets extra shots. And then if you kill a unit, you get some dice back. And then she's also pretty good in combat. You can also spend dice there, and she goes to 8 attacks at like 8-2-3.
Yeah,
with real hits and with dev wounds.
Yeah,
and, yeah.
With of course miracle dice dev wounds. Oh,
it's really good. The other big important thing to note here is that the Paragons give them +1 to hit and wound against monsters' vehicles, which synergizes very well with real hits and wounds, because then you have +1 to hit and wound real hits and wounds.
Dude, Fidelis, her 6-shot heavy bolter, like often one-shots a Rhino.
Dude, I like do that every time. I'll be like, okay, 2 multi-melters here, 1 multi-melter in the storm bolters here, Vahl here, and kill 3 tanks.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Absolute ludicrous damage coming out of this thing. And then it charges you also.
Yeah, it like shoots 2 land raiders to death and then charges and kills a 3rd. The other big thing is that, like you said, Fidelis and missile launchers really like +1 AP, ignore cover from the Castigator and Immolators.
Yeah, Sisters are very much an army where all the sum of its individual parts come together and create this synergistic monster.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to rank things in a tier list because you're not taking it into all that context, but we're going to talk about it like it is.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think she is outstanding. I think she is... Jack and I did a all-character tier list when we had her as the 2nd best character in the game.
So I'll be honest, Quinton.
Yes.
I'm a controversial Sisters player because I typically don't run the Volgons. That said, I have used them. They are incredibly powerful. They have a lot of good things going about them. And what's interesting, when you look at the World Team Championship list that just came out because the championships just happened, most teams brought Sisters. Most teams brought the same detachment of Sisters. And it was like I would say 50-50 split on Volgons or not Volgons. So I don't think they're an auto take by anyone's standards, but they are an amazing unit.
No, I really agree. I personally wouldn't always rate a Sisters list with them. I think they're very strong, especially in Bringers of Flame.
Yeah.
But they are expensive, and like they're very durable, but they have kind of weird durability, and that like if you have a bunch of flat damage 4, they can actually die quite quickly.
Right. They have weirdly challenging problems, which in singles can be a liability in specific matchups. They also have the ability to annihilate matchups.
Yes.
And in teams, you can choose to avoid your problems and just focus on your positive matchups. Or you can build maybe a less top-heavy sisters list that just takes a lot more MSU, has a lower ceiling and a higher floor.
I agree there. I personally would put her in S tier. I think she's quite solid.
I think she's a queen for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vahl. And this is with the caveat with her Paragons. Vahl solo.
She's okay.
I would put her in B tier, honestly.
I agree, yeah. Ryan G with the $5 super chat. Mighty Morvenn casually split fired and killed an entire broadside versus me with just her pistol. Please nerf. That's like not crazy.
She's nuts.
She's cracked. Her shooting is like you read her and you're like, oh, it's a heavy bolter and 3 multi-melters. That's not that bad.
I will never complain about her damage output.
No, it's through the roof.
No, it's she's absolutely nuts in terms of damage.
I keep looking at this unit. I'll tell my opponent, I'm like, okay, this unit has a heavy bolter, 2 crack missiles, some storm bolters, and 3 multi-meltas.
So
and they're like, that's fine. You shoot, maybe kill a Rhino, and they're like blowing land raiders up with crazy reliability.
+1 hit, +1 wound, reroll hits, reroll wounds, miracle dice.
It's
disgusting.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think before we move on, we should talk about another really awesome thing. Maybe even more awesome than Morvenn Vahl, one of our sponsors, Rattlecan Studios.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So now that we're back,
we have Retributors.
We have Retributors. Who doesn't have Retributors? Like, subscribe, and comment for Retributors. You got to do it.
Yeah, I mean maybe if everyone comments, my Retributors will actually hit. Because I've taken Retributors too many times for the amount of 1s and 3s that I've rolled.
Honestly, I'm sure there's a lot of sister players in the chat. Pour one out, leave a comment, tell us about your saddest Retributor story. I'll tell you mine right now. It was a practice game against this person right here. I had a unit of 5 Retributors. He had a Death Guard Rhino. He pops smoke. You know what that means? It means I hit on 5s. I rolled 8 to hit rolls. I had all my miracle dice ready to roll. I was going to like auto hit, 6 damage. You don't get a save. Guess what? Guess what, Quinn?
No hits?
0 hits. 0 hits.
I was playing a game, and I had a unit of Retributors with I think a dialogue was attached. And I was like, okay, my plan is I need 1 shot to go through, auto 8 damage, Lord Invocatus, he's dead. I rolled no hits.
I don't understand. 50% of the time, it works 0% of the time. Like, Retributors, what the hell? They give you 2 cherubs, so after you don't use Miracle Dice because you never hit them, you can't cycle.
Yeah, and this unit is 125 points.
Yeah, it should be. It's 4 girls packing multi-meltas. You add characters. You can add multiple characters and like really make the heat bring it.
This unit really is a lot like Warp Spiders, and that it does not need to go down in points because it is probably too good.
It has the capacity, if it could hit you, to do like Land Raider Gone type of damage.
Yeah, or like tank dead.
I've tried in Bringers of Flame like a Retributor Immolator package that moves 21 inches and unloads fiery death upon you. And I was like, this will surely solve my problems. As people try to stage behind the walls, I will just kill them. And you know what happens? You run up there, you spend your command point, you get out, you miss. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's also this unit, like, if someone overwatches you and kills 2 Retributors, it's 50 points of models dead to like 1 stubber.
And the other problem with Retributors is that, of course, you could get around the hitting issue by taking the heavy flamers. They're like really good heavy flamers.
Yeah.
But then they're 125 points for this unit that's walking around with heavy flamers. That's not picking up Land Raiders. That's not what I'm paying 125 for.
And then you're like, I could shoot, you could spend the strat and Bringers of Flame, make them dev wounds, and then you can get real wounds if they kill something. Yeah. And then, no, it's not that great.
They're trying really hard. It's not their fault, but also there's no one else to blame. Own that stuff.
They're a unit with a lot of things going for it and a lot of downsides, and I don't like them for that. They're so unreliable.
The problem is with Sisters is you're playing for an army that like lives and dies on reliability. You're also paying for an army that wants like units to overperform. And Retributors, and I mean by that, like use miracle dice to make bad units overperform. Like my 1 melta gun is awesome.
Yeah.
They have 4 melta guns. 1 of them is awesome, but they're paying for all 4. It's kind of like unsynergistic that way too.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're not D tier. They're not Dogmata bad.
I think they're in C tier.
You think they're C tier bad?
I think I really don't like them.
I genuinely think every time I include a unit, I'm worse off for it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I have literally never seen them perform when I play against sisters, and I have never like had them perform.
My best performance with Retributors ever was when I attached a 70-point character unit for there was the Dialogus with Fire and Fury, so I could like
sustained hits
with 6s. And I had to kill a 2-wound Dread Knight, so like 1 failed save, it's gone, and a full Dread Knight. And I split fire, and I put 1 at the one guy and 3 at the other, and I got them both. And at that moment, I was like, Retributors are good. And then I remembered the other 50 games where I'm complaining about the hitting.
Yeah, I mean, every time I like play against them, my opponent's like, I'm gonna shoot you with the Retributors, and I'm like, man, this could be really bad. And then they're like, I got 3 hits, and I'm like, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mostly that's just because he rolled bad saves. So I got away with that. To the C tier.
To the C tier with the Retributors.
They're better than Daemonifuge. Are they? I don't know.
I might rather have the Daemonifuge than the Retributors.
They're so different.
Because the thing is, it's like, we'd rather have the Daemonifuge and 50 points.
Yeah.
Or Retributors with no support.
Retributors walking around is just not it.
No, it's definitely not.
Okay. So the Hospitaller. Nice cheap character.
Yes.
And well, not as cheap. I think she went up to 50.
Yeah, she's like not that cheap.
She's not Dogmata cheap.
No,
Dialogus cheap.
Yeah.
She gives a unit feeling pain 5+, which is a great rule, especially because sisters are very vulnerable to 1 damage attacks.
Yes,
They are 1 wound models.
Or mortal wounds, something like that.
Or more like a mortal wound, D3+3 mortal wounds. Oh, I lost a squad of sisters. Like, God, that's terrible.
It's horrible.
But she heals. She heals D3 wounds back to a character or D3 models back in a turn, which is...
It's like not nothing.
It's not nothing.
Yeah,
you have to discard a miracle die to get D3, otherwise it's just 1. But just do that. You have lots.
It's pretty good on like Sacresants or something like that.
I tried the 30 Sacresants with 3 of them, and it's too far. It's too far down the rabbit hole.
I would agree with that one.
But one of them with a Hospitaller, maybe a Palatine also for the sustained lethal combo, because one of their weapons already has sustain. She gives them lethal. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
I could see it. I could see it being okay. I think she firmly belongs in the pile of B tier characters.
They're all people. There's a lot of armies that have like the pile of B tier characters, and she's definitely there. She's just too expensive for buff cheap bodies.
I really feel like it's just Sisters and Death Guard. You happen to be playing both.
No, you're right. Yeah, no. The Space Marines too. No, a lot of those got legends.
Yeah.
They're like ancient with banner, ancient Terminator armor with banner. Whatever. They're dead now. Okay, the Jump Pack Canoness.
Yes, she flies in. She's awesome. She's our 1 new model of the edition. What a glorious day.
What a glorious day.
I will say, in the back of this codex right here, she says 50 points. And holy crap, if she was 50.
She'd be crazy.
I'd run 3. She's already pretty crazy at 75, though.
Yeah. No, she's pretty good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, she has 3 wounds, which can be kind of annoying. But she gives a unit a free strat, and she can join Seraphim or Zephyrim.
Yep.
And then she fights like pretty hard.
Yeah, she basically has a choice of a variety of weapons. You can give her a hand flamer and a power sword, which you only really do if you're doing the flame combo and Bringers of Flame. Otherwise, you give her a choice between her big sword, which is like 4 attacks at strength 6 AP 2 damage, or her other sword, which is like 5 attacks at strength 4 AP 2 damage. But then you can once per game give her devastating wounds and +3 attacks, +3 strength.
Yeah.
Which really turns her damage up to like a gajillion. Mm-hmm. And at that point, she hits way harder than she can.
Especially with access to Miracle Dice.
Yeah. Give her Dev Wounds, Miracle Dice is a hell of a combo. You can give her certain relics and certain attachments to give her +1 damage. At that point, she's like a Chaos Lord, but a jump Canoness.
Yeah.
I've seen people run her solo.
I don't hate her solo.
Yeah.
She has a grenade skewer.
She's like a little mini Celestine. Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she like flies in grenades.
It's a free rapid ingress.
Yeah, charges and kills it. She's genuinely pretty solid.
132mm model base. So my biggest challenge with her is as a solo character, she's like decent, which is fine. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, she's also pretty good.
Yeah.
But the unit she's leading, they're not that great. Like Seraphim led by a jump Canoness in a 10-girl package.
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I know it's not the most popular choice, but I think it's quite good. You could join her to 5 Zephyrim or 10 Zephyrim, but Zephyrim do kind of suck.
I think one thing I realized quite recently actually is that the Zephyrim sustained lethal only applies to power weapons in the unit. So if you give her like the good halberd, she doesn't get.
That's what I was trying
lethal.
to articulate. You did a better job there. So yeah, you can choose to have her have the better weapon, and then she has the better weapon for combat, and she gets a +3 strength attacks, whatever. But then she doesn't get the Zephyrim bonus +1 strength and lethal.
Yeah.
So you can give her the worst weapon, give her sus lethal, but then she's got the worst weapon.
Yeah.
And I hate anti-synergy.
I think the best way to run her, and the way that I actually I run her in my Tournament Sisters list, and I think you do as well, is you join her with the Flamer to a squad of
10 Seraphim.
In
Bringers of Flame.
In Bringers of Flame. And then you give her Fire and Fury, so all the Flamers get +1 shot. So it's 9 hand Flamers. They go up to strength 5. Castigators can give them an extra AP, and then you spend her free strat to give them all dev wounds, and they kill like a tank, and then they leave.
Yeah, I definitely think that is a really strong use of her. It's very unique to Bringers of Flame. Otherwise, you're just like having her join Zephyrim, be a combat unit. I think armies like Army of Faith or Howler Martyrs do appreciate that job.
No, I completely agree.
It really, like, different detachments will run her differently. I think she's a solid choice. Like, I run her in my tournament list, so do you. Yeah. I don't think she's auto-include. No. I think she's got a lot of different uses. I'd put her in A tier.
Oh, yeah, I think she's definitely better than the pile.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And she's got use as a solo character, too, which is a lot of different ways to play her.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This tank got such a glow up.
The Castigator.
Holy
crap.
My gosh. I used to be a hater of the Castigators.
A Castigator hater?
All through the index. People were still running 3, and I was like, these things suck. But you know when they don't suck? When they just got strictly better in like every way.
These things are crazy. I think they're the best tank in the game.
So it's definitely up there.
Yeah.
The thing with the Castigator is, we talked about earlier, Sisters are a sum of all their parts type army. So the Castigator is synergistic with the Immolator and with everything else you take. The Immolator will give your Castigator ignores cover. Like, it shoots the target, and then the rest of your army will ignores cover against it. Castigator's made of AP1 weaponry. Loves ignores cover.
Yeah, ignores cover, like, makes this thing viable.
It used to not have ignores cover, and that's why I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Now, you have another rule added onto the Castigator. After a Castigator shoots you with any of its weapons and hits you, so you can put like all of your guns at something, random Stormbolter over there.
Yeah.
Pick that unit you shot at and hit. Your whole army gets an extra point of AP against it. So against, like, say, 5 Deathwing Knights, which is like a traditionally incredibly challenging profile to deal with like bolters and heavy bolters and autocannons, you ignores cover against it because the Immolator shot you. Maybe it killed one with a multi-melta. Then you shoot another Castigator at it, and now you're ignoring cover, so they have to Armor of Contempt, otherwise you're taking 3-ups. Okay, most of it bounces off, but now you're an extra point of AP. So Castigator number 2, Castigator number 3, your entire Flamer Seraphim brick, Morvenn Vahl's friends, all of that is +1 AP on top of its already AP1 base.
And then ignore cover. Yeah.
And now Armor of Contempt's not saving you. You take 1,000 saves at 3-ups, you're still going to die.
Yeah, I mean, like, the bolters also in Bringers of Flame go up to strength 6, which is the point where this thing just like shoots tanks to death.
In Bringers of Flame, you advance and shoot. You get strength 6 on your heavy bolters, like you're saying, to shoot tanks to death. Your autocannons, I run all autocannons. They go up to strength 10, twin linked. Just everything dies.
One other genuinely very important thing to note is the Castigators all come with a Hunter Killer missile.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter Killer missiles in Sisters are not the same as Hunter Killer missiles elsewhere.
They hit on 2s, which, is still 50% hit rate.
Yeah.
They wound on 3s.
I've been really liking the Triumphs roll 1s to wound and shooting, or if they're hitting on 3s, roll 1s.
And they say flat 6 damage.
Yeah. And then they're also AP4 ignore cover. So, like, a lot of tanks don't get saves.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, there was a big tournament. I was in the finals of a tournament, top table. And my opponent pre-measured some stuff out, and he put a Land Raider on the line. He was playing Blood Angels. And he was like, okay, if you want to come up and you want to shoot me with your multi-meltas and your melta-guns, then I'm going to charge you with all of the, like, scary jump pack infantry that I have immediately staged behind this wall.
Yeah.
Right? If Morvenn Vahl comes up in melta range, kills my Land Raider, then Morvenn Vahl's going to die to, like, 30 Van Deaths and 10 Death Company. And I said, okay. And I stood back at, 24 inches, and I shot him with 600 killer missiles, and I killed it. Because all the 100 killer missiles are AP4, ignore cover, flat 6 damage.
Yeah. No, it's like, this is the Peacemaker. I'm not the type of guy who runs 3 shooty tanks and just drives around blasting you off the board.
Yeah.
But when I play Sisters, I sure am, because it's just that good.
These things are, like, legitimately insane.
They S tier for super strong. Like this is just you run 3, and it's the type of unit which doesn't reward you for just running 2. Like it wants you to run 3.
The first Castigator is okay. The second Castigator is pretty good. The third Castigator is hilariously broken.
Yeah, because you can lose 1 and still have the full combo at full effect, and you can also set it up on like the entire army is lined up on you. Your whole army is going to be +1 AP against all of it by the end of it.
Yeah, they're also notably quite durable.
Yeah,
with access to Miracle Dice and stuff.
I mean, a good baseline for a lot of competitive Sisters lists right now is 3 Immolators, 3 Castigators, and that is 6 toughness 10, 11 wound hulls.
Yes,
6 up and vulnerable saves and Miracle Dice.
And also smoke and stuff. Like these things and armor contempt in a lot of detachments, they don't die.
Yeah. In some detachments, you can use multiple Miracle Dice to pass multiple saves. Like Sisters have this weird dichotomy where they have toughness 3 1/1 models, which are obviously not durable, and then they have tanks that are pretty durable.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot right now about how Sisters are very good. We think they are very good. But if you don't play Sisters, if you're the kind of player who wants to know how to beat them, one recommendation of mine is in the War Room. I am recording a series of Know Thy Enemies on all the different Sisters detachments and all their weaknesses and the kind of like chinks in the armor that you can exploit to beat these units that are really good.
That's just one of the many, many things you can get access to in the War Room. Right now we have a 3-day free trial going on. You can access it to see all the different coaching matches. We do 3 coaching matches per week where we try to explain all the thoughts, the processes, the ins and outs of why we're doing everything. Jack has a whole series called Jack Theory. People love it. I'm going through on the missions. Quinton's doing the Know Thy Enemies. We got What's the Play for puzzles. We're constantly trying to innovate this content and make it as good as we can for helping you learn the game and become your best. So if you're interested in not only doing that, but joining an amazing community so you can enjoy your hobby more, check out the link below for a 3-day free trial. It's right below my head. It's right above Quinn's. It's also in the description, thewarroom.vhx.tv.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Up next, we have Saint Celestine, a unit that you and I kind of disagree on.
We disagree? I thought you were on board with Celestine as the queen. See, Cel is queen. What are we talking about?
So, okay, I disagree is a little of a strong word. I think Celestine is very good. I personally just wouldn't pay 160 points for her in the current Sisters book.
Well, I do consistently, and I never regret my choices. They're awesome.
Maybe I need to... Okay, the model is very good.
Okay, let me talk about why she's great, and
Tell
then
me
you
about
can
Celestine.
Rebuttal if you feel the need to.
Okay.
I guess.
Sure.
So she is pricey at 160.
Yeah.
She is a very interesting dynamic piece in that she is a flying deep strike model. She's a character with 2 Gemini. So I'll talk about her offense, and I'll talk about her defense, and I'll talk about her easier. Offensively, she's got this Flamer, Strength 6, AP2, Flamer, 2 bolt pistols, and the girls. She's got 5 attacks, Strength 6, AP3, 2 damage, Dev Wounds. Of course, Miracle Dice Dev Wounds is a combo. Her 2 girls, nothing to be excited about. They're 2 Zephyrim glued together. Strength 4, 3 attacks, AP2, 1 damage, whatever. What they do defensively is very impressive. The whole thing has a 2-up armor and a 4-up invul. They're infantry, so they get cover just for existing, basically. In some detachments, they have access to Armor of Contempt. Celestine herself, when she's not leading a unit, and I don't recommend you leading her to units, she totally can though. When this is a solo thing, she can just tank wounds. When she's leading a unit, when she's not leading a unit and she has Gemini, she has a 4+ Feel No Pain. So she has a 2-up, 4-up, and a 4-up Feel No Pain. She's 5 wounds. She has Miracle Dice. She's so hard to kill. The Gemini revive at the start of the command phase. You just bring 1 back. So I like to tank 1 on the Gemini a little bit, which when she revives, I'm going to put 2 inches plus a base in front of her to gain some distance on that revival. Then I start tanking on Celestine. I talked about how she can get a 0-up save with cover and Armor of Contempt, 4-up Feel No Pain, 4-up Invul, Miracle Dice. She's just not dying to whatever people commit to her. You have to commit like armies to kill her. She's like a Terminator unit with all the defenses. And then she comes back to life on a 2+. So like I said, let's talk about how I use her. I love to rapid increst her. We talked about how Sisters have all these Castigators and these Vahl guns, and that's what Sisters lists are made of these days. It's a lot of guns, a lot of firepower they can bring to bear on your opponent. What do people do when you have a lot of guns, Quinton? They hide. They hide like the cowards that they are. And when they're hiding, they're behind walls. You can't see me, I can't see you. That's a 2-way street. That's the way that relationship works. So I can just like rapid ingress down, and like if something can see Celestine, something's not going to kill Celestine. You've got to commit to kill Celestine. So at this point, she's just rapid ingressing down, basically wherever I want, often on that empty midfield objective, which is in the open, so no one dares step on it in front of the Castigator Volgon pain coming your way if you dare to. So she just goes there and gets me a 10 or 15 on primary on turn 2 or 3. Then she gets to launch her assault. She moves 14 inches next to Triumph, which we haven't covered Triumph, but we will. Then she charges. And then she's got like precision attacks for 1 CP because she's a character. Snipe out of that Infernal Master right at that Thousand Suns unit. Oh, you got like some little small squad holding your home field? Gone. Like that. Gone. Oof, my home field, not your home field. 5 points off your primary. She consistently, at the WTC level, World Team Championship level, Quinn, against some of the best players in the world. Vic, one of our war members, she got me not 5 primary, but she got me 5 primary, then took 5 off their score almost every single game. Queen stuff.
Would you put her in S tier?
I didn't do that spiel to put her in A tier. What are we talking about?
So I have found Celestine to like not hit that hard sometimes. She can kind of whiff, and then like she's not. Okay, this is not to say Celestine is bad. Everything Nick said is completely and objectively correct. Celestine is very, very good. I just think that she's more of like a top of A tier and not like an S tier pick.
I don't run the Volgons, Quinn, and you don't run Celestine.
That's true.
But I put the Volgons in S tier. No, Jack is not doing nothing over here. Put up into S tier.
You know what? Fine. I will acquiesce. We'll put Celestine in S tier.
Thank you for acquiescing.
But I just want you all to know, this is just because I think the model is really cool and it's one of my favorite models in 40K.
Let's also look what's in A tier. She's better than everything in A tier. That's
a very true man. She's better than everything in A tier.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there are more things in Sisters that are good than you can take in a list. And I think that's just awesome.
That's true. Sisters have like 3,000 points of really good units.
Yeah. I mean, we might fill S tier up over here by the end of this. And
we might, yeah.
You can't make a list of only S tier. I mean, you can. People try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you for letting me have it. I talked a lot. It's your turn.
Okay. So next we have Junith, who is kind of like a weird floating pulpit character. She gives you like CP and she has like a heavy flamer and she hits okay in melee and she joins like Battle Sisters and she gives them like -1 to hit, right?
Yeah, she joins you and she's -1 to hit.
Yeah.
She can also get you command points, which I think is your best value.
Yeah, she gives you CP. So I don't like love her. I think she's kind of expensive for what she gives you. And I have found, at least in Bringers of Flame, Sisters are not an army that is like starving for CP. I found a lot of the strats to be like pretty useful and nice to have, but like not like crazy, right? Like when I play Eldar, I'm like in a desert dying for CP. I haven't found it to be the case in Sisters. No. A lot of the stratagems are like, that was nice, I'm glad I used it, but my turn would have functioned without it. Yeah,
I totally agree. It's a value add piece. I think she has some interesting roles as like your backfield objective holder. If you don't want to take Dominions and Battle Sisters and just get those for free. Yeah. Because she can hold an objective in the backfield like anything else can, but also get you CP. But the reality to Sisters, you are taking Dominions that split in half and Battle Sisters that split in half, and then someone does gonna just stand on your backfield. So it's a redundant role there too.
Yeah, having a unit that is standing on my backfields is literally never been an issue for me. I have 5 Dominions who go and do that. Yeah.
Corey Schultz, the $5 super chat. Quinton is like a professor explaining Sisters to Nick, who is a golden brown retriever. I have been called a golden retriever like way more times in my life than anyone should.
It really fits. You just kind of like have a happy, bubbly, excited personality that makes people like you, like golden retrievers.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I think that's the highest compliment. You know, I like dogs. I have a dog. Golden retrievers are dope. Like, thank you, Corey.
I appreciate your super chat. Yes. Okay.
The Pension's next.
The Pension.
The Penitent engine.
The Penitent engine.
For those who don't know the slang.
Whee!
We didn't rank you. I'm sorry.
C tier?
A gaggle of B tier characters.
Yeah, sure. Gaggle of B tier. Throw her on the pile.
Now the Pension. Okay, so Pensions are awesome, and they have multiple different uses.
Yes.
Their most classical use, I would say, is the solo engine. Yes. It's 75 points now, but it still does a lot. It advances and charges. In Bringers of Flame, it advances and shoots. It has 2 twin-linked heavy flamer type things. And it's got 4 strength 10, AP2, 3 damage attacks in combat. The man, girl, robot thing slams.
Yes. No, it hits pretty hard. It like beats up skirmish trash. It's not like tough enough that'll beat up like real units that reliably, right? No. Like 1 is not going to charge and kill a Rhino.
No. 2 can.
2 can,
and
yes.
Especially in like Penitent Host, when you run them in pairs, they become actually quite effective.
Yes. It's like kind of durable, but not like that durable. Like if you shoot like a real unit at it, it dies. But if you're shooting it with like Rhinos and stuff, it will not die.
Yeah, the Feeling of Pain throws some math out the window for people who are like, I will shoot one Meltagun at it. It's like, you'll probably live, actually.
Yeah.
It doesn't have it doesn't have Shield of Faith, which is the 6+ invulnerable save, which actually sucks because sometimes I want to be like, I pass your one shot you allocated to this, and I can't do that.
Yeah, a lot of times what happens like with Sisters is you're like, you handed me 2 saves. Oh, look at that. I rolled the 1 and 6 and passed one. I'm going to auto-pass the next one. You did no damage to me.
You don't get that.
You don't get that option.
That said, it's still a useful tool. I like it as another option to just like be a unit, do an action. Unlike a Dialogist, it doesn't give up Assassinate.
No.
It does bring it down, but that, who cares?
It's relevant.
That's irrelevant these days.
It's like 70 points, I think?
75.
75,
The Mortifier is 70. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's very side grady of this thing. But compared to like your other options, Arco-flagellants, Dialogist, for cheap thing, you just buy that does a thing.
Yeah.
It actually does more than an action. It can fight, it can move, it can flame. I used one. It was aggressively okay.
Yeah.
I would say like top of B tier. I think it's better than like everything we put into B tier, but I don't think it's an A tier pick.
No, I agree there. Chad is saying it has the invuln. I'm not an expert on
It
this.
definitely does not. I will bet the chat.
Okay, what are you betting? Does the Penitent engine have the invuln?
I will bet the chat. I don't know. What do I bet the chat? What's a good thing to bet the chat on?
I don't know.
I don't know, chat.
Do you want to know if it has the invuln or not?
Yes.
It has the invuln. It has the 6
I just played the entire World Team Championships without this invul. I'm pretty sure it got killed because of it once.
It definitely has one.
Good. Good,
invuln.
folks.
Yep.
One of the things we teach you in the Worm is how to read your codex. Quinton just demonstrated that.
Yes.
So,
a lot of rules in 40k.
as Corey said, Professor Golden Retriever.
Yes. It's okay. I definitely made some mistakes like
Well,
that.
now I want to put an A tier because it's got an invul.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I think
You're okay with it?
it's an A tier
All right,
pick.
cool. It's a good unit. It's a legitimately good unit.
Yeah. Okay, up next is Aestred Thurga and Agatha Dolan.
Do you know what this unit does? Can you tell me all of the things that it does?
I know it gives dev wounds. And it's 2 characters and they like don't hit that hard, and then the guy with a stick does something else that's not that important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you were close.
Is it like +1 OC or something?
No.
No, it's the Dogmata.
All right. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
okay.
let the master cook here.
Okay.
So this is 2 characters. You're right about that. You join it to a unit. It gives your unit devastating wound, shooting, and melee. The most awesome use for this is devastating wound multi-melta. But
Yes.
I like to put it with 10 battle sisters, and then like all your bolters and stuff, and just random attacks also have dev wounds. It's not 0.
Yeah.
She herself is okay at combat. The dude sucks. When the dude dies, and this is relevant, you gain D3 additional miracle buffs.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she is kind of expensive because you probably run her and a character like a Palatine in the same unit. I like that combination a lot. I tried this in Bringers of Flame. It's very interesting. It's very decent. It's not that great.
That was my overwhelming conclusion. I think I tried it like once in a TTS game and I was like, this is fine.
I think it's a little too hard to maneuver. It does advance and shoot, which makes it like you can do things with it. If it didn't advance and shoot, it would not go places.
You could like buy it a Rhino, but then you're buying a Rhino.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said I used this with a Palatine. I used this with a Dialogist to make any miracle die 6. Anyway, I don't know. I think full combination, full power. It's best in Army of Faith. I feel like it's like a B tier choice.
No, I agree. It's not that good. It's fine. On the pile we go.
Into the pile.
Into
It's
the pile.
better than most of the pile. I like it better than a lot of the pile.
Yeah.
It's in the pile.
Yeah.
Okay. Exorcists. Now this is an interesting one. This is Sisters Indirect Fire mode. It's quite pricey. It's $190.
It's very expensive.
It does fire pretty well. It's got D6 plus 2 shots, strength 10, AP2, which AP2 is always like a little bit of a AP3 ignores cover, but not if you're shooting like a Rhino behind a wall. Then you didn't line up Castigators and Immolators on it. So it's AP2 asterisk, and then it's D6 damage, which Miracle Dice flat 6 damage. It's really unreliable because indirect hits on 4s, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, if you're going to use it as a direct fire tank, I would actually just rather have a Castigator.
Yeah, I think it's
like a clean
not
swap,
direct
I just have a Castigator.
I think as you play the game, eventually it comes out from behind your backfield ruin and maybe gets to shoot direct fire because you don't want a 190 point paperweight like all game long just holding your backfield.
Yeah.
But it's going to spend most of the game trying to shoot at something that your army can't access, and that's like the point, like a staged Rhino.
Yeah.
It's really good in specific scenarios, like 1,000 Suns that run like a solo character. They love
It's very good there. Yeah.
It's really
yeah.
good there. 6 wounds, here's 6 damage. It's pretty good at killing a Rhino stage behind a wall. Across 2 turns, it might kill like a repulsor type thing, but it's not really going to penetrate a Land Raider unless you roll God mode or they roll bad.
It is AP3 base for what it's worth.
It's AP3 base. That helps. That does help.
Yeah.
I thought it was AP2 base.
And you get it to AP4 ignore cover with a Castigator Immolator, but then you have to see them with other
That's
tanks,
the
and then
part.
yeah.
But AP3 base really does help.
Yeah.
Hitting on 4s is really where I get stuck.
Yeah.
I think I've tried 3. 3 just makes your army like too static. You have like 600 points sitting in the back, and you're probably running Triumph also, so it's like 800 points sitting in the back, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then like 1 is like an unreliable chip tool. I really like it in Army of Faith because in Army of Faith you get to use 2 miracle dice. I think it's decent.
It's fine. I don't actively dislike it. I think it's just a little too expensive relative to like the other options you could be taking.
I think it's a little meta dependent too. Like the meta is not one in which I care about indirecting like a tank a turn.
No.
If it was triple Night Spinner meta, maybe I answer with triple Exorcist.
I actually think that'd be quite good in the old meta, right? Because you could kill the Night Spinners or whatever. You can kill the CSM Rhinos,
right?
But like now,
now the meta is too fast melee. Like it's gonna kill like 7 Space Marines behind a wall, and then you get charged by 33.
Yeah, the meta is dominated by stuff that like likes to be in the midfield, and Sisters can play that style with Castigators, but not with Exorcists.
So I think for that reason, I'll put it in bead tier.
Yeah,
but with like meta dependent ability to push up.
Yeah, I think this is a tank that like it's one of the units that would really shift around a lot based off how the meta changes, not based off if it changes.
Yeah.
Robert
Lassiter with a $10 super chat. Are you guys doing Tampa GT this year? I play Sisters and Custodies, but my ladies aren't battle ready. Any advice to have them ready for next year? I always have a painter's block. Well, Robert, I believe we're all probably going to the U.S. Open in Tampa. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, the GW US Open. Hopefully we'll all be playing and seeing you there. So definitely come say hi. And for getting your armies painted, we love the Army Painter. They really help us. I know personally, I used a lot of their spray paint dip done methods to paint armies like super fast. I actually just got my sisters ready in like a week with the help of Quinton right before WTC. So that wouldn't be possible without our sponsors.
Big shout out to the Army Painter, specifically their line of air paints are genuinely incredible. They do this really cool thing where all of their paints are split into like triplicates. So that each paint comes in a set of 3 where it's a base, a mid, and a high, and it's kind of a ready set. Like you pick one of those and that just is like an armor shade or just a gun shade or something like that. And it makes painting go like way faster. So my advice there is if you have an airbrush, is really helpful, but I would just pick a scheme that looks pretty solid and is pretty easy to paint, and just paint like 1 squad at a time. Just like, don't try and do the whole army at once. Just like, be like, today I'm going to paint 1 Rhino. Today I'm going to paint 1 Immolator. Just kind of go for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your super chat, Robert, and we'll see you at Tampa.
Yep.
I just want to address a clarification from the chat. People are asking why doesn't the Exorcist in our hypothetical here get the +1 AP from the Immolator and ignore cover from the Castigator, or other way around. It's really just like if you're shooting something behind a wall far away, the Immolator and the Castigator probably couldn't see it first to get the AP and recover triggered.
And if you're going to see it with those tanks anyways, it's probably dying to the Immolators and the Castigators, and you don't need the Exorcists.
Right. It's the job of it is to access things that the rest of your army can't access.
Yeah.
Mortifier next. All right, so this is the sister unit to the Penitent engine. It's 5 points cheaper. Instead of advancing and charging, it gets access to a 3-up save and shoots heavy bolters and something
like that.
It's got one other rule.
Yeah.
It's fine in the ways a Penitent engine is fine. I like that it gets a 3-up save. I don't like that it doesn't advance and charge.
I think I'd rather have the
it fights on death on a 2+. That's the rule.
I think I'd rather have the Penitent engine just for the speed, mostly because I want to be able to run out and like tag something.
When you stack it with the Triumph, or even without a Triumph, I move with a Miracle Dice.
You go crazy far.
So like move 17, shoot, charge is legitimately a thing.
Yeah,
like that's a real credible threat that is going to take your your Penitent engine, who needs to hide. It's not going to like walk around and be safe.
No,
it needs to hide safely behind a ruin. Walk 3 inches to the side of that ruin, then jet out 14 inches straight ahead, then shoot something, then charge. And that's a real play. Take your same Mortifier in the same position, walk it 3 to the side, move it 5 forward.
That's not a real play.
Not a play at all.
The fight on death is also not like crazy because the units that are going to kill this thing in combat don't really care about the fight on death.
Yeah. For that reason, I think this is a C tier choice.
Yes.
And only be like if the Penitent engine didn't exist, this might be an A tier or B tier choice.
Yeah,
it's the next best thing.
It competes so poorly with the Penitent engine.
Right.
Yeah.
Paragons.
We talked a lot about these guys in the Vahl portion of the video. The big thing is they get her reroll hits. She gets their +1 to hit and wound. And then the multi-meltas kill like everything.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, importantly, the second unit of Paragons is not that good.
No.
Yeah.
Regular Paragon based data sheet at 210 is not that impressive. It's very easy to kill for what it is.
Yes. The unit with Vahl often also gets your like armor contempt for the turn and gets your miracle dice and gets the Feel No Pain from the Triumph. And then it is quite durable to kill against a lot of targets. I think it's an S tier. I think we put it next to Vahl.
You think, well, so are we saying that the Vahl-Gons unit together is in S tier and then like individually each one would be worse?
I think so. I mean, or what we could say is that Vahl represents Vahl plus Paragons.
Yeah.
Right, because that unit is one unit.
I kind of like that. Like,
Okay,
Solo Vahl's not really a thing.
No.
You know? Yeah.
So the Vahl on there is Vahl plus Paragons, and then Paragons is just Paragons by themselves.
Yeah, I think that's
okay.
good. Yeah.
I don't like that unit by itself. Without real hits and wounds, it's actually not that reliable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Its best day is in Bringers of Flame because it'll get access to that +1 strength and advance and shoot, and that hits multiple breakpoints for it. But
Yeah.
even still, its defense to offense ratio is pretty atrocious, and it's just not getting any of the same buffs offensively or defensively. Because if you're going to Armor of Contempt them, you're going to Armor of Contempt Vahl's unit instead.
Yeah.
So I think Vahl's unit is S tier, like we said. But then what's B tier?
B tier, yeah,
B tier for Paragons.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
They're okay. They're not, like,
they're a
amazing.
fine unit.
Yeah.
Just like fine.
Yeah.
Next, we've got the Palatine. Very utilitarian character.
Yes. So I quite like the Palatine. She's not that expensive. She gives a unit lethal hits, right?
She's 50 points. She gives lethal hits. She's got scout base on her data sheet.
Yep. And then she can like discard miracle dice to make herself hit harder. And then there's a variety of enhancements you can put on her to make her hit even harder.
Right. So she's 4 attacks, strength 4, AP 2 damage. If you discard a miracle die, every wound you cause is a mortal wound in addition to whatever save the damage does. And then with lethal hits, you can really farm the wounds. With miracle dice, you can farm the wounds. So farming mortals is always good. And then if you can get any buffs to the attack quantity or damage or whatever, which a variety of relics and different detachments can do, she hits pretty hard. And also lethal hits, shooting and melee, combos really nicely with a variety of things. You get lethal hit melt-a-guns, multi-meltas. That's nice with miracle dice. You get lethal hits melee on Repentia and Penitent Host. Lethal hits, Sacresants, love that. Novitiates give her reroll hits, which stacks nicely with her lethal hits. She's very just good value character.
I genuinely really like her. The only reason that I do not have her in my list is because I have like 30 spare points. And if I could cut literally anything for the 20 points, I would include her, but I can't find the 20 points.
She's awesome. I think she's an A tier character. If you don't have to take her, you won't regret taking her. It's really just a points thing.
No, I think she's super good. Really like her. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's cheap. She's 50 points. Like, it's not hard to get her in, but when everything's 50 points, you do hit 2,000 eventually.
Yeah.
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 Seraphim are next. Seraphim are one of my favorites, Quinton.
They're quite good.
They're so good. To me, Seraphim are actually the best unit in this codex. So I know that's going to sound as a controversy. We can argue over days about which one is best, but they do a lot of things that no one else can do in the form of move 21 inches in Bringers of Flame. Or any detachment, really. But in Bringers of Flame, they can also then shoot, then fire and fade 6. And that's... You can't overwatch a fire and fade move for one. You also move 27 inches after you're done. And that's just so far.
Yeah, they're really good for like engage or storm or move blocks.
Contesting objectives.
The flamers are nothing to sneeze at.
No, I mean, strength 46, strength 4 Norse cover is a great chaff killer. And
great,
strength 5 in Bringers, access to Dev wounds in Bringers. They do incredible damage.
Yeah, I mean, this unit kills like a squad of cultists like every time, which is a real valuable role.
And it can do it in Fire and Fade away. We're talking about aggressive move blocking with Fire and Fade. It's also a utility piece, right? Like you can go from cultists on an objective, you move out, flame them away, you go back behind a wall. Like super easy play, almost guaranteed to work. They're so good. It's not even resource trading.
The reason the way I've been running them recently is with the Canoness with Fire and Fury with the 10-man break, and that unit actually kills a lot of stuff because it's 9d6 plus 9 shots at, if there's a Castigator nearby, 5/1/1 ignore cover dev wounds auto hits, and that kills a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And it does damage in a way that Sisters don't otherwise do damage, because most of Sisters hard-hitting stuff is like, here's 1,000 damage from Meltaguns, and this is instead, here's 1,000 instances of damage, 1 Dev Wounds.
Yes.
So it gives you a profile diversity. It also, like, just the 5 packs at 85 points each, like, they move so far, all the plays you just talked about. You're just adding Eldar units to your Sisters army.
Yeah, no, the Seraphim are quite good. They're very, very solid.
I think this is a clear S tier choice.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, I would not leave home without less than 2 units of 5, and honestly, I play 20 in most of my lists.
Yeah. The reason I don't have more is really just because, like, the issue we talked about, right? It's just there are more.
S tier's getting stacked.
Yeah, there's more units than you can fit.
Right, like we both take units from S tier without taking all units of S tier.
Yeah,
yeah, and I think that's just how you play Sisters.
Yeah.
So next we've got Zephyrim, which are not as good as Seraphim.
Not even close.
They cost more, which is a head scratcher. They cost more than Jump Pack Intercessors, which I will.
Yeah, that one, that's a weird choice there.
Yeah.
What is this unit? Well, it's a flying jump pack unit, and it's got like a bunch of attacks at like 4-2-1. And then if you discard a miracle die, you can give them sustained and lethal hits, which is nice. But the problem is they're not killing anything real. They might kill 5 Space Marines.
They, with a character added, they no longer are a cheap unit. At 90, they're not that cheap, but they're like passably cheap, I guess, because they're fast. Yeah. And then you add a jump character, Jump Canoness, and now they're 165 before a relic. And they can kill 5 Space Marines with her attached. But that's also a trade down now, because 5 Space Marines cost like 80 these days, and that's 165. They still won't kill a tank. They still won't kill a real unit, like 5 Terminators or anything tough.
Yeah.
Like, it's such an awkward thing. Like, you overpay to kill 5 scouts. That can't be something you're doing in Sisters.
And the problem is killing scouts is not what you need them to be doing.
No.
They also like don't like miracle dice at all, because it's a bunch of like bad attacks.
It's a lot of 1 damage, like don't use a miracle dice attacks. I mean, they just don't have a synergistic role aside from the fact that they move 12, they fly in their infantry, and those are amazing rules. Like that you're paying for that. You're paying for move 12 fly infantry, much like a swooping hawk or a raptor or anything that moves 12 fly infantry, but it's overcosted for that.
No, in Army of Faith, you can like give them lance and +1 AP, and then if there's a triumph nearby, they're like +1 wound AP4, and then you can kind of punch up. Then it's a lot of points and a character and 2 stratagems, and like you're paying a lot of points to make a very mediocre unit slightly less mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, I love this unit. I used to run 20 of them when they were cheap. It's really just a points issue. They went from 12 points a model to 18 in the new codex, and I just can't get behind that.
I don't think they're that good.
I think they're C tier. They're not like D tier.
No, they're better than the Dialogus, or the Dogmata, sorry.
You think they're B tier?
No.
No?
No, I think I would rather have anything in B tier than Zephyrim.
Yeah. It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we've got the Rhino, the humble Rhino. Often a great choice.
Yes. I think the Rhino's biggest issue is that the other Sisters dedicated transport is just wildly better.
So I don't disagree with that takeaway, but I don't think that's the Rhino's problem.
That's fair. No.
The Immolator and the Rhino do different things because, 1, the Immolator is crazy, but 2, it combat squad's a 10-girl unit.
Yes.
A Rhino is your only option to transport and therefore ergo protect a 10-girl unit.
Yes.
The problem is none of the 10-girl units or like 10 Arco-flagellants are something I really care to take outside of the specific detachment of Penitent Hosts where I will take
Repentia.
them in a Rhino. Yeah. I think this is a problem of the units you're trying to transport don't want to be in a Rhino.
I mean, like, if you look at our other rankings, we put the Rhino very high in a lot of factions. Like Death Guard, CSM love their Rhinos.
Yeah.
I don't think Sisters love the Rhino.
I think in certain detachments, you will run Rhinos. Like Penitent Hosts will run probably 1 to 2.
Yeah.
And then in like Hallowed Martyrs, I could see you running 1 for your 1 squad of Arcos or your 1 squad of Sacresants, whatever. Those are niche times to just get the job done. And that's the only job the Rhino finds here.
Yeah, I fully agree.
I think it's B tier.
Oh yeah, probably bottom
like
B tier.
The bottom of B tier.
Bottom B tier, yeah.
Like it's the same way you would run 3 Arco-flagellants to do a job. You would run a Rhino to house your 10 Arco-flagellants if you're doing that job.
Still 75 points for a tank that requires like some las cannons to kill, right? So
maybe the answer for Sisters is 6 Immolators, 6 Rhinos.
You are welcome to try that.
I'm gonna try it.
I'm gonna bless you with that, with the power to try that list.
Oh, Quinton's blessing me. This is great.
Yes.
So we got Ryan Jamieson with a $5 super chat. Not sisters related, but do you, Quinton, think Aspect Warriors should be cheaper on the reinforced since we don't get a second Exarch?
Yes. But I mean, like, the Exarch is the reason you take the unit in a lot of cases. I'm really hopeful that Games Workshop recognizes that. Like, for example, Scourges are way cheaper on the reinforced because you don't get more weapons, right? So the back half of the unit is much less valuable than the first half.
Just to clarify the question a little bit, this is like if you're taking 5 dudes in an Aspect Warrior unit, the second set of 5 dudes to make it a 10-man is just not as good as the first.
Correct, yes, because the Exarch is worth like 30% of the unit, and you don't get one.
No, I agree. I think this is a common theme we see in a lot of units across the game. I know like my Legionnaires get 2 heavy melee weapons and 5, and they sure don't get any more if you take 10.
I was really excited. I was going to run a squad of 10, and I was like, I'm going to get 4 power fists, I'm going to kill stuff, and then I was like, oh, I don't get that.
I think overall Warhammer is always struggled a little bit to point everything accurately because of the quantity and depth of the game. But they're getting better over time. So hopefully these small weird nuances to like, why does the second set of 5 Scourges cost less than the first set, but why does the second set of 5 Legionnaires cost the same? I think that will just go away with time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Appreciate your super chat though. Great question. What do we got next?
We have the Immolator.
Oh, we're talking about that.
Yes, we are.
We talked about that in like every other data sheet we've talked about.
This unit like defines the Codex.
Honestly, talk about an iconic unit that has very unique roots to sisters, and they finally made it so good you were just including it, but not so good you're spamming it out like times 6 because it's broken.
Yeah, I like 3, 2 or 3.
I think 2 or 3 is the sweet spot. I've tried 4. 4 is too many.
Yeah.
What does it do?
Okay,
so it's a transport that you can take a 10 girl unit in, or 5, but if you take a 10, you then get to combat squad it, meaning you can put 5 in the Immolator at the start of the game and 5 just wander around as their own unit. And for all intents and purposes, from then on, 2 different squads. It also has your option of twin multi-melta, heavy bolter, or multi-melta. You take the multi-melta. And a hunter killer missile. And a rule that says if it hits you, much like the Castigator with any of its guns, like that heavy bolter that shoots 3 times, I can recover against that target for the rest of the turn phase.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, so the combo wombo is that you shoot the Immolator at something, then you shoot a Castigator at something, then the rest of the Castigator shoot, and then that thing just like dies immediately. But like a twin multi-melta in Sisters is also pretty solid, right? Because you can like shoot at a Rhino and be like, oh, I got 2 hits and 2 wounds and now you're dead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does a lot of things well. I mean, like it shoots 2 multi-meltas at a tank it's trying to kill, maybe the hunter killer also, and then it shoots the heavy bolter over there, which turns your Castigator on. Then your Castigator shoots it, ignores cover, shoots its storm bolter at something else. The second Castigator now ignores cover or has +1 AP against that target. It just cascades. But more to the nuance of the Sisters book, you only have access to expensive squads that cost 5 for 5 models. Like Retributors are 125 for 5. Sacresants are cheapest at 75 for 5. It's like expenses for a Sister's body.
Yeah.
The cheap Sister's bodies are found in the 10 model units, like Battle Sisters at 115 and Dominions at 115 for 10 bodies. It's literally half the cost of a Retributor and then some. But it's a 10 model unit, so it's kind of inefficient to walk around the field, do an action with, shoot something, get tagged. It's like not a good unit because it's 10 models. It's inefficient. The Immolator Access is splitting that into now 3 squads for 230, and they're specialized units. One's got bolters, one's got 4 melta guns, one's got that's tank, and they all do different specific things. So it is the obvious layer of synergy of I ignores cover now, life is great. And then there's that hidden layer of synergy which your Codex unlocks.
Yeah, I mean, like, we talk a lot about units that like do something that it does, but I don't want that. The Immolator does 3 things, and it does them all really well. And they're all things I really want.
And then it's also itself a good tank. Like it's toughness 10, 11 wounds. Those are great break
with
points.
an invuln
6
and fate dice.
With miracle
like,
dice. Oh, multi-melta hit me. No, it didn't.
Yeah. Or I mean, also just like the multi-meltas, especially in Breakers of Flame, they go to strength 10.
Yeah.
With twin links, you and Rhinos on 3s if you're rolling.
Or an Army of Faith. Oh, I'm going to pass 2 saves all game long. Like this is just not... You're not going to kill me with like las cannons.
One other like just general thing to know, we talk about the extra AP ignores cover from the Castigators. Extra AP and extra ignore cover on melta guns and multi-meltas actually can be really valuable because if you're shooting like a land raider in cover with armor contempt, they get a 4-up. Now they get a 6-up.
So I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
We're going to put this in C tier.
C2, yeah, it's the worst unit in the Codex.
Yeah.
No, this is an S tier.
S tier for days. This is fundamental bread and butter choices here.
Yep.
Speaking of fundamental bread and butter choices, does anyone still have questions on the Triumph?
Oh, I mean, we saved the worst for last.
Right.
Yes.
So,
This thing is crazy.
She's gone up. She started this edition at 110. She's now 190. She basically has 2 auras she picks every turn out of 6.
And they're all very good.
Yeah, some of them are niche and like random, and like you won't really take them except for some weird scenarios. But don't worry, she has baseline ones that are phenomenal. The aura that you're gonna pick every turn of every game, I literally will always take this, is +2 move, +1 advance, +1 charge for all units within 6 inches of her, and she moves around pretty fast, so it's like your whole army.
Yeah. So basically, this makes, especially in Bringers of Flame, where you can advance and shoot, this makes your army blisteringly fast, like crazy fast.
Yeah, basically +2 move, +1 advance is +3 to your roll, your move advance roll. And when you're not rolling that die, you're using a miracle dice. So your 12-inch moving Immolator can move 18 inches with a 6 on the advance roll, 20 inches with +2 move, 21 inches with +1 advance.
Yeah.
And then they have strats to like get out and do stuff, and it's just silly. Your Castigators go 19, then shoot somebody. Hiding from that is so much harder. This is how your Seraphim go 27 inches. There's just this effect right here. And this is like, you know, your move blocked behind your wall, not coming out. Like, there's so many plays.
Yeah. Other notable auras, 6 of Fuel Pain, very good.
Yeah.
Real ones, 2 and shooting, pretty good.
Yeah.
Use 2 miracle dice, very good. Then
can you do it? Can you do all of them?
Okay, so it's real ones, 2 and shooting. Reroll battle shocks.
Oh, we got the hard one.
2 miracle dice, the move bonus 1, the Feel Pain. I'm missing one. Extra AP in melee, I think.
Lethal hits in melee.
It's extra AP now.
Oh, they changed it. They
changed it.
Twin schooling me.
Yeah.
Well done.
I actually quite like that one. I use it a non-zero amount. I fully agree. I use the extra move probably 90% of the time. The only time I don't is if we're already really engaged and I don't need to move anymore. Then I'll switch to like 2 dice and Feel No Pain and become very tanky.
Yeah.
Or I'll switch to 2 dice and extra miracle dice and become very killy. And there's just like a lot of like options that you can do there.
But don't worry, that's not all she does.
Nope, that's the start of what she does.
At the start of every battle round, just add a 6 to your miracle dice pools. Just extra miracle dice on top of it, and it's a 6. Do you know what you can do with guaranteed 6s? Any play you want.
Yeah.
You have access to every play in your arsenal with a 6 in your pocket. And that is tremendously powerful. Especially as you gain experience as Sisters player, you can decide whether or not this should be an advanced roll, a multi-melt, a damage roll, or a save. Like, it's so powerful.
No, I mean, like, it's the one issue is that, like, if you're rolling a little bad on your miracle dice, they're not that powerful. But the triumph is, here's 5 extra and they're 6s.
Yeah, and you know they're coming, so you can kind of plan your turn. Like, sometimes if I have something I really want to spend a 6 on, but I don't know that I have any other 6s coming, I can't spend the 6 in good conscience. But I know I'm going to get a 6 in about 5 minutes, so that's fine.
Yep, those are all very good. The last thing you know with the Triumph is that she's 18 attacks in combat, hitting on 2s at 5-2-1, which like
18 wounds and OC 6. Like, she is a beast of a model herself.
Yeah, she's 18. She's 18 wounds with 3 up, 4 up.
Yeah,
she like is like very, very difficult to kill.
Right. She's not unkillable, and certain things are good at killing her, but unless your opponent is packing like a ludicrous amount of anti-infantry firepower, like,
or like a squad of like possessed will do it pretty well.
Like 10 Tesla Immortals and Necrons with reroll hits and crit 5s can hurt her pretty badly. But that's like a very niche type of thing. Your usual stuff of like, take some saves, all right, I took some wounds, whatever, I have 18. Here's a las cannon, I passed that, no problem. 4s can pass those.
Yeah.
And she like can go very far. In my last game of WTC, I had a situation where I desperately needed to get back to my home field because I had lost it to some evil Scorpec destroyers. And my only shot at getting back to it was Triumph hitting a 12-inch charge, which sounds bad. She moves 8, which is how it became a 12, because she's +2 move. She's +1 in charge, because that's what her aura is. So I have to roll not an 11, but a 10, because I'm within 12.
Yeah.
So I have to roll a 10 on 2 dice. Well, one of those dice is a 6, so I have to roll a 4 on 1 dice. 50,
and that's
50.
not that hard.
And then you can choose the aura of use 2 miracle dice. So I can CP reroll the charge, use a 6, use a different 6 that I had to have a 75% chance to hit a 12-inch charge to reclaim my home field, which I did.
Yeah. I like, the big thing I have come to find is that a lot of times in like turn 3 when I'm kind of engaged, the Triumph just walks onto the center objective and it's like, what are you gonna do about it? You want to come and shoot my like really durable support piece? Well, no, you didn't. Okay, well, it's 6 OC, so you can't contest it away a lot of the time, and now it's charging and beating you up in combat.
Yeah, she's good at combat. in certain detachments, you can make her even more of a beat stick. She amplifies your army's effectiveness on like every front. Movement wins games is where I come from. And she tremendously changes your movement because she changes your army that like moves and doesn't really advance and do stuff and has to roll advance rolls to I advance +9. Like between +2 move advance and then auto 6. And then in Bringers of Flame you advance and do stuff, and Penitent helps you advance and charge. Like most of your detachments where you can stack advancing and doing something, that combination becomes backbreaking.
A little cherry on top, grenades keyword.
Just why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So if it wasn't clear enough, she's obviously the top queen of S tier.
Yeah, no, she is. This unit is crazy.
Yeah,
just crazy.
So that's the whole tier list, Quinn. We did it. We ranked the whole thing. Do you want to mess with it at all? I kind of balanced out. Right?
Yeah, no, it
always looks weird as we're going through.
I know
like one list is overloaded.
There's a lot depends on like the order in which we do stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like how it all shook out. I honestly, I'm pretty happy with.
I firmly agree. I think Sisters are very strong right now. And more than that, they have a lot of really strong units. Like a lot of the stuff in A and B tier is still pretty good, right? Like you just like take it in a lot of other armies.
Yeah. You are spoiled for choice when Sisters. Like you have multiple top tier competitive approaches. Mm-hmm. You have a variety of different ways to use the same data sheets. And you have a lot of different data sheets that are valid. And even the stuff in like bottom of B tier and even C tier, they're not like bad data sheets. It's just like all relative to itself.
Yeah, I mean like Repentia are still pretty solid, especially in Penitent House. Like it's a terrifying unit. It goes like 27 inches and then like kills everything.
And just because people are tuning in now, and I know they're going to get screenshots and I'll be all upset about this, Vahl represents Valgons in S tier, that specific package of unit together. We didn't really rank solo Vahl. She's in the gaggle of B tier characters.
Yeah.
And Paragons being in B tier, of course, is just Paragons, no Vahl attached. Paragons with Vahl, separate unit attached to Vahl in S tier.
Yes.
Yeah. But very exciting stuff here, Quinton.
I'm really excited for Sisters. I think my favorite thing about Sisters is just how fun they are to play. The army feels consistently dynamic with multiple approaches to win, which I really like.
Yeah. All right, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this stream. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate all your support. Do us a favor. We can't produce this content without you. So to show us support, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment telling us what you think or telling us your saddest Retributor story. We'd love to hear it.
And I got a lot of those.
Yeah, we all got a lot of those.
of those.
And check out The Worm. There's a link below, theworm.vhx.tv, for a 3-day free trial of all of our excellent content, The Worm, where we teach you how to learn the game and become your best.
All right.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody.
See you later.